We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges. Better not come any close.
Interesting facts about famous people.
Classic westerns that could use a remake. Have you ever thought about an older classic western that could use a new coat of paint and remade today? Of course, we may be biased towards some older westerns as we have a love of the original actors, etc. I'm going to come up with a wish list here. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Let's have some fun today. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Let's get into it in no particular order. The Professionals, 1966, based on Frank O'Rourke's novel A Mule for Marquesa, is one of those classic Hollywood action westerns that don't get made anymore. Stars Burt Lancaster, Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan and Woody Strode as a quartet of specialized mercenaries hired by millionaire J.W. Grant to rescue his wife, Maria, abducted and taken to Mexico by the notorious bandit, Raza, Jack Palance. Upon finding Maria, the team realized that Grant may have other motives. The Professionals wasn't the most innovative film, but at its heart, the movie has a great cast of characters with a different dynamic. I could see this playing out like a Western-style Ocean's 11. The Treasure of Sierra Madre, 1947, a classic adventure Western film that would make for a fun contemporary remake, a John Huston-directed movie based on a 1925 novel of the same name, starring Humphrey Bogart and Tim Holt as Fred and Bob, a couple of down-and-out men looking for a break. They meet Howard, played by John Howard's father, Walter, a prospector who talks about incredible riches in the heart of Mexico. The men band together, crossing the border, and search for the treasure of Sierra Madre. A certifiable classic, a timeless tale of man's nature and greed that could translate easily today, action-packed and tinted with humour. Who doesn't love a good treasure hunt? The Naked Spur, 1953. There is simplicity to the story that unfolds in Anthony Mann's 1953 western, The Naked Spur. At the time was notable for only 5 speaking roles, starring James Stewart as Howard Kemp, a bitter rancher, now bounty hunter, searching the Rocky Mountains for Ben Vandergoat, Robert Ryan, a vicious killer with a $5,000 reward for killing a marshal. Kemp joins 2 dubious strangers and falls in love with a woman who may very well be Vandergoat's lover. This is far from an original story. We've all seen variations of this movie, especially on Western TV serials, popular in the 50s and 60s. The small but compelling cast would be appealing to actors looking to exercise their acting talent. The Wild Bunch, 1969. Sam Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch is a classic in the genre, and purists would probably argue that this western doesn't need a new Hollywood remake. And you know what? They're probably right. But one can't help but imagine the possibilities. The original film, following a band of aging outlaws in the closing years of the American West, facing down a brutal Mexican general, turned a lot of heads when it was first released in 1969. Featuring explosive violence, gratuitous blood, and amoral protagonists. But the opportunity to assemble an ensemble cast of eclectic characters, like the 2016 remake of The Magnificent Seven, is perhaps the biggest attraction for the film. The most controversial aspects of the films aren't so controversial today. For a while there was a proposed remake set up by Warner Brothers. Mel Gibson was attached to direct and star in the film, alongside Michael Fassbender, Jamie Foxx, and Peter Dinklage. It currently appears to be stuck in development. Here's hoping that the remake starts up again. Vera Cruz, 1954. Perhaps the first spaghetti western. Set during the Franco-Mexican War, Ben Train, Gary Cooper, is an ex-Confederate soldier who travels to Mexico seeking a job as a gun for hire. He joins Joe Erin, Burt Lancaster, and his mercenaries, recruited by Emperor Maximilian to escort Countess Marie de Var, Denise Darcel, to the Mexican city of Vera Cruz. Along the way, they discover that Duvar and Maximilian are transporting $3 million worth of gold to support the French war effort. Duvar and the men decide to steal the money for themselves. As is usually the case in these situations, things quickly go wrong for all involved. Like the works of Peckinpah, Vera Cruz was loved and hated for its reprobate characters and leanings towards violence. Not as graphic as The Wild Bunch, this film nonetheless presses many buttons when it was released. I could argue that a modern remake of Vera Cruz is not necessary, the same argument that probably could be made about all the movies in this video. However, it would make for good cinema. The final battle would be worth the effort. The Oxbow Incident, 1943. This is one of those really simple stories, told very well. Stars Henry Fonda and Harry Morgan as Art and Gil, two cowboys that arrive in a small Nevada town just hours following the murder of a local rancher and theft of his cattle. The two men are initially suspected as the criminals. They clear their names by joining the posse formed to search for the actual perpetrators. The posse finds 3 men who they believe are responsible for the murder, but their guilt isn't obvious. The question is what to do with them. Take them into town to face justice, or lynch them there and then. There is a thoughtfulness to this film, themes of toxic masculinity and exploring the different virtues usually associated with the Wild West. A timeless story, these themes can be easily updated to fit the modern era.
I'll read it to you. My dear wife, Mr. Davies will tell you what's happening here tonight. He's a good man and has done everything he can.
The Great Silence, 1968, starring famous madman Klaus Kinski as a brutal killer. There's a lot to like about The Great Silence, Sergio Corbucci's Western. Conceived as a story inspired by the deaths of activists like Malcolm X and Che Guevara, takes place in Utah, 1898. Stars Jean-Louis Trintignant as Silence, a mute gunslinger who defends a group of outlaws from a band of bounty hunters, led by Kinski as Loco. When released, it was not well received, both critically and financially. Unlike some westerns that were released during this time, The Great Silence was very subversive, with a climax where the bad guys actually win. Despite beautiful cinematography, great acting, and memorable score, audiences just couldn't appreciate the cynical and bleak nature of the movie. The Great Silence eventually formed a cult following. In many ways, this movie was ahead of its time. The film's themes are timeless and could be easily adapted for a retelling. Quentin Tarantino took inspiration from this film and spaghetti westerns in general when filming Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight. Shenandoah, 1965, stars James Stewart as Charlie Anderson, the God-fearing Virginian patriarch of a large family. Although living in the South, Anderson refuses to get himself and his family involved in the Civil War, until his youngest son is abducted by the Union Army and taken prisoner. Charlie and his other sons go off to rescue their family member. There aren't that many Civil War movies these days. A Shenandoah remake would be a great addition to the genre. A perfectly decent movie. It isn't as well regarded as other movies in this video, allowing room to improve or expand on the original. The story's anti-war and human themes would work well in today's political and cultural climate. Major Dundee, 1965. Sam Peckinpah's Major Dundee, starring Charlton Heston as Major Amos Dundee. Set during the final stages of the Civil War, Dundee leads a group of Union soldiers, Confederate prisoners of war, and scouts on a mission to Mexico in order to destroy a band of abusive Apaches that have been attacking army bases in Texas. Like Peckinpah's other films, Major Dundee is a controversial and dark western, featuring Heston in a strong, larger-than-life role. Dundee is another movie that, upon release, was not well received. After poor test screenings, 13 minutes was cut from the film, resulting in huge plot holes. Over time, the movie has been restored to its original version and has garnered better reviews as a result. Not to say this movie can't be improved, especially the anti-war themes, with an updated remake.
Play us a tune, son.
Yes, sir.
Forward! Ho!
April.
How the West Was Won, 1962. A true epic, broken into 5 chapters, directed by 3 different directors, George Marshall, Henry Hathaway, and John Ford. Filmed in 3 lenses Cinerama, a widescreen format that could be compared to IMAX, requiring 3 projectors to run. This was a major production, with a who's who of actors such as John Wayne, Debbie Reynolds, James Stewart, Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb, and Gregory Peck. Covers several decades of westward expansion, encompassing the gold rush, the Civil War, the railroad boom, and everything in between. Nominated for many awards when it was released, critics were actually somewhat unkind to it, despite appreciating the film's potential and spectacle. Critics believed it was a rather lifeless affair. The structure and audacious scale of How the West Was Won would be a perfect fit for an epic miniseries or even a television series, given the original film spanned over 50 years. There is a lot of material to cover and work with. Hello to any new viewers on my channel. Thanks for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate your likes and subscribers. Don't forget to hit the notification button to get my new videos. Share with your friends. Drop me your comments. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.